Hey everybody, welcome to Ask the Anabolic Doc, starring Dr. Thomas O'Connor, brought to you by his websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com, both of which you can get his book, America on Steroids, A Time to Heal. That is also available on amazon.com. Doctor, how are you today, sir?
Excellent, Ron. Beautiful day up here, northeast, springtime, shining.
I think our weather's always very similar. We're only probably about 200 miles apart, maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yep.
If I haul ass, I can drive to Hartford in 2 hours. I've done it before.
84, baby.
84 to 90, somewhere in that range.
90, yep.
So you did a video a couple weeks ago on something that I'm so ignorant on. You know, that's why anytime you try to sort of say I'm an expert on steroids or something, this is where I have to bring the reality in. Proviron, I've heard about Proviron all these years. Never paid any attention to it. Never used it. Never tried to get it. Had no interest in it because all I heard one time is, oh, it's not like a steroid to get you big. I said, all right, never mind then. Forget it. I don't care. I blanked it out of it didn't exist to me. So now I'm really feeling like I missed out because you did a very well researched video on your Anabolic Doc YouTube channel on Proviron and explained a lot of the reasons people use this, and now I'm feeling like I missed out, like I probably should have been using Proviron all these years.
It seems like it's a miracle, right?
Yeah, now they tell me. But so yeah, you gave an overview in your beginning, said it's a weak anabolic steroid used by bodybuilders for cutting and to allow other steroids to work better.
The wingman.
The wingman. If I had known that, I probably would have looked into Proviron and I would have been using it all this time. But you didn't really get into that. I mean, is there any evidence as to how much better it makes other steroids work?
No, so and again, this is stuff that's all anecdotal, but it's out there for decades. And when you're able, if you could get the real Proviron, guys did use it back in the classic days. They did. The classic, bodybuilders back in the 70s and 90s. I think it's like you said, washed out today because the big boys they're kind of beyond it. But I think a lot, and let's hear some comments, a lot don't, it's kind of, when you're using small amounts of steroids and TRT dose steroids, when you use this drug, for some reason it's again, all drugs will do this to some respects, steroids, it increases the free component of the androgen, free testosterone, and the free metabolites of other anabolic steroids.
So is it safe to say if you're not using Proviron along with your other steroids, you're not getting the full results from your steroids?
You know what, though? I mean, Ron, that is what I found out. That's the classic utility of that drug. But here's the thing, and the bro science guys, and it's kind of common sense. They're like, Doc, look, guys will use Proviron when it's usually more for like TRT with test. It's an anti-estrogenic effects, and that's what was intended for, and it was used for like TRT for boys. So they started understanding back from the 30s to the 60s, Ron. Yeah. They started understanding the estrogenic effects, the side effects. That's Dianabol, right? Let's get something that's is going to not shut down a man's brain so much, that's going to be less estrogenic, not Dianabol, that's going to have less of the effects on the prostate. So they start dealing with DHT derivative drugs, right? The Norn-19 drugs and the testosterone derivatives. It's just crazy when you look at the science behind what these scientists knew they were trying to produce, and then what they found out. And then the whole thing over decades just kind of goes into the crapper. But again, it's low androgen, it's a weak anabolic steroid. It turned out that when it's used to the bro science side, it's anti-estrogenic, and it can liberate the free testosterone or use it more because it really affects the sexually binding globulin. Now, are there real true studies on this? Please, guys, help me out. Initially they were, and everything else, Ron, is 100% anecdotal. It's just science. It's just bro science.
Okay, so you gave us all the history. This was developed by good old Sharing Corporation in Nazi Germany. Sorry, guys, it was Nazi Germany in 1934.
It definitely was.
It was developed for hormone-related medical states such as depression and poor libido, not developed for muscle-wasting medical states, which most steroids, that's what they were created for.
Remember, that came 30 years later.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Yeah, that's all these steroids that were commonly in use now didn't come around till late 50s, 60s. This is 1934, guys.
Dianabol, late 59, 50. You can't. No one can argue it. This is the original. This is the origin.
Yeah. So it was also developed to increase sperm count and motility. So it was for fertility purposes, because other steroids that we use actually lower fertility. This one actually boosts your fertility, which is crazy. So the patent was purchased by Bayer, but they never sold this drug in the United States of America.
Yep.
I don't know how they made any money off of it. It's a DHT derivative. The chemical name is 1-methyl-DHT. It's not 17-alpha alkylated, so it's not liver toxic, I'm assuming.
Not at all. Not at all.
Rapidly inactivated in the muscle, so that's why it's a very weak anabolic.
Correct. Isn't that interesting?
It doesn't even seem like a steroid. That's why I'm confused.
Ron, guys will say it's doc. Like no one uses Proviron like by itself. No one. It's a wingman. It's a wingman.
So it has no estrogenic side effects because it is a DHT derivative. It acts as a systemic anti-estrogenic agent, lessens the estrogenic effects of other steroids, which is primarily, I think, why guys add it to their cycles. Androgenic side effects, not well, acne, male pattern baldness, rarely used by women. I have heard women using this. I think they usually regret it later, but I have heard of women using this. So wingman is the word. It has a double wingman effect because it has a high binding affinity for SHBG, and it increases free testosterone, just like Anavar and Winstrol. Also increases metabolites of other steroids. That's the fascinating part. That's the part that's making me have regret that I never used this stuff. So it seems like you really would be behooved to use this if you're using a bunch of other steroids just to get more bang for your buck out of those steroids.
And look at the comments. Guys, people have done it. But again, it's hard. Do you know what you're getting? And they still produce it. You can still get this. Not in America.
Used in cycles and in PCT. Does not downregulate the HPGA, the hypothalamus gonadal pituitary axis.
But it will after a period of time.
Eventually. I think everything you mentioned, eventually, if it doesn't right now, eventually it will.
Correct.
There are no studies on whether this causes ASIH, the anabolic steroid-induced hypogonadism. Liver toxicity is minimal. Cardiovascular effects, it increases your LDL, reduces your HDL. Not suitable for TRT. Yeah, I want to get right into questions. You had a lot of questions from your viewers on your video. And, because you're a practicing physician and you see patients for 10, 12 hours a day, you probably don't have time to get on YouTube and write detailed responses.
God, I wish I could, but I just can't. Yeah.
So here we go. Just wondering, how long would you possibly recommend to stay on? A week or two? And what dose do you run, Doc?
Obviously, I can't answer that. I mean, that's a good bro science question, though, Ron. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know a damn thing about Proviron.
Wow. Can we get some comments, please? Can people come out and tell us some comments, please?
Some of these have been answered in the. I mean, people have chimed in on them, but here's a newer one from Anabolic Milo. Can this drug damage the thyroid? After I overdosed on this a year back, I thought I crashed my estrogen. Turned out that was not the case. My T4 and T3 were extremely low, resulting in me to take T4 therapy next week. Is this permanent? The doctors are not sure. My life is a mess at the moment. I suffer from mania when I work, and I get stimulated for some reason. I get extreme euphoria following anger and overthinking. Wow.
I mean, Ron, this is why I'm doing this, and my whole life is consumed, which I love this every minute, every second of the day. We don't know, like this man, if you look at that, androgens have minimal effect despite the academics on, supposedly if you look at the academic effects on androgens on thyroid, that they're going to cause effects on the conversion. This is not true. I'm just going to give guys what they want to hear. That's ridiculous. I don't see that. I've been doing this, thousands and thousands of patients. Testosterone and steroids I don't see inherent effect on TSH or thyroid panels, T3, T4, reverse T3. I do this. I'm an expert in this stuff. And, can it affect it? Absolutely it can. But with it's usually not. And when you see comments like that, and I appreciate that man, he's suffering, so I hope he gets help. Is it just as simple as looking at his thyroid? Should he have a thyroid exam done? Absolutely. Does he have Hashimoto's, thyroiditis? Does he have an autoimmune condition? He needs a proper evaluation by a proper, very good physician that understands internal medicine. And he may have psychiatric overtones. He may have mania. He said mania.
Yeah.
That's bipolar. I mean, and this is no joke, and I'm not making fun of this man.
No.
I feel for this person. But these men are left because they have nowhere to go in a lot of these countries, including our country, because it's all walk-in clinics now. And I'm not blaming any political guy for that, but that's what we have now. It's why I'm so overloaded, I think. There's nowhere to go. There's no good doctors. There's a few doctors, please. There are some good doctors, but they have no time. Yeah. So in the end, this man's talking about mania and crashing, and he doesn't feel good. It's not just thyroid. And is it Proviron? No. I mean, I don't know. No.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason he linked it in his brain, in his mind. That's what he thought was the cause, but it's probably.
Again, I don't put him. When a good doctor takes a history, you listen, okay, and you try in your brain to link it to what we know scientifically, clinically could be a link. And again, androgens we know academically affect thyroid conversion, but you know what? I don't know where those textbooks are ridiculous to me. That is so negligible. It's so negligible. It just has no effect. I've known this for years. My patients know it. If you have frank thyroid disease and Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and you have, sure, great, okay, well it's thyroid. It all the anterior pituitary relates to how the testicles are run with LH and FSH and TSH. The brain above it has a greater effect on it. Nothing more to say. We understand there's a conversion of T4 to T3. Again, we can get Dr. Todos on this. We can get anyone on this. I'm telling you that this whole androgen effect on thyroid is overblown. I want to see data. I want to see the research. And people get so wrapped up in it, and they get so damaged because they start taking these medicines, thyroid preparations, and it turns out there's nothing wrong with the thyroid, and they're just causing another problem where they're not looking at the real. They have some depression, they have mania, they have bipolar 1 or 2, they have mood disorders. This is life. I spent my whole day dealing with real depression, really serious stuff today, every day, and you just can't relate. The internet loves. The bro science and the internet loves to have discrete, I did this and it caused that. Love it.
Cut and dried.
Correct. But it's not, what's cut and dried, Ron, in medicine? It's very complicated.
Well, see, we don't want it to be complicated. We want it to be simple. That's the problem.
I did this, and therefore I got this, and it's because of this to that.
Right.
Serial. A, B, C, D. Please.
If only. If Proviron isn't suppressive, can it be used alone for a short duration to increase free testosterone, say for 2 to 3 weeks?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Next one. Hey, Doc, thanks for the video. I've been interested in learning about Proviron for some weeks now. I have a question. So Proviron is used for cutting. How long can someone use Proviron before LDL increases? 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks?
Good question. We don't know. I don't know. But if you look at the LDL receptor, and if you look about the turnover of that receptor that we inherently know how it's affected in the liver with statin drugs, PCSK9 drugs, these are drugs I use all the time to protect men's hearts. So the effects happen pretty quickly. It's so you'll see it within about a week or so. But again, that's on paper. But we don't care about a piece of paper number. But there's other variables. But the big picture is if that LDL goes up, and it's because of the steroid and because it's that effect, and your diet has an effect, how much other drugs you're doing, what else. But the real effect is how do your arteries look? Remember, Ron? Remember the coronary artery calcium? I ran like 3 of those today. I ordered 3 on my I take 1 or 2 new patients a day. So I ordered this week. I ordered 2 today, I think.
Calcium scores?
Yeah, I order all my patients, unless they're very young, I don't order them. But if a guy comes in and he's late 30s or older, and he has anything cardiac risks, which they all do, right? I mean, we're men.
Yeah.
On paper, I say, hey, look, let's work into the equation a calcium score, because the American College of Cardiology says if you're in intermediate risk, we're not going to just dump you on statin drugs. Let's see if you have heart disease. So again, does a guy have heart disease? Has he had a stent, a bypass? Has he had acute coronary syndrome? I have heart failure guys coming in now. I mean, I have massive disease coming in, and it's like, who cares about your little LDL number? Like, let's look at the real. But I mean, of course, we're going to drive that. We're going to drive that to the ground, and we're going to do. That's one of 20 things we're going to do. But I mean, again, people like to get so focused. So the question is, LDL receptor. It will affect it pretty quick. But everything we do, we check labs every 30 days or every 60 days, because you can't be checking labs every week. But it will have a very quick effect on the LDL.
Okay. So, I mean, you would recommend, if this guy's thinking he's going to use it for 12 weeks, maybe he could get his blood work done every 4 weeks, see how his LDL is doing?
Good idea. That's always a good question. The whole question becomes, what disease do you have when you start? And what are you looking to do? What's his goal? And it's interesting that, and I always have to go back to the basis that if you're looking to preserve your life and live the longest possible life, you should never do even 1 Anavar tablet.
It's true.
I mean, come on, Ron.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But if you're looking, again, to hedge the bet, and if you're looking you want to enjoy the quality of life, I 100% get it. That's where I give men the protection ethically for, here's what we can do. Let's look at your arteries. Let's look at your kidney. I mean, come on, Ron. I just give men a mirror, and I say, here's where you are today. What would you like to do? And then I know none of these guys ask me to prescribe equipoise and Diambol. No guy. We do. We get calls we get 15, 20 calls a day, 25 emails. I mean, my staff all around the world. And guys will inherently, I just don't even hear about these things because my staff just doesn't even respond, or they just don't bring it to my attention.
They filter it out for you.
Can the doc give me Anadrol or Arimidex? Yeah. Can the doc give me Arimidex, maybe, actually, if you come in, if we agree, Anavar, D-ball? These are idiots?
No, they're figuring, well, it couldn't hurt to try. It couldn't hurt to ask.
I just wonder, Ron. But we get real questions all day long that are really incredible. That's why I learned. Wow, those are real estrogen questions. Psychiatric questions.
Next real question from Kanesh Sharma. I'm doing 250 milligrams testananthe first cycle. Can I use Proviron instead of AI and SERMs? Please help, doc.
Well, guys, I can't tell you, please, sir. Please don't do anything. And go see your doctor and honestly, be careful and stop immediately if you don't want to get your brain shut down. At a certain point, you're going to come off that. You're not going to feel great. PCT, we're doing the research right now for this PCT work or not. We don't know. It seems like it helps some guys, but then it just bridges you to another cycle. So come on, Ron. In the end, everyone's blasting and cruising. So this guy, could you use it for just an anti? Yeah, that's what it's. Yes, that's what guys will say. They'll say, instead of using aromatase inhibitors and selective estrogen receptor modulators, that's what he asked, right, Ron? Yeah. Those 2 drugs.
AI and SERMs, yeah.
Those are the 2 drug classes. Can he just use this in part? The answer is that's exactly what the bro science intention of this drug is to use either none of the other drugs or to use less of them.
Gotcha. 250 milligram a week cycle seems like why are you bothering? That's a TRT dose.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Anyway, Kanesh, that's for you to figure out. Okay, so next question. What about the use of this with other anabolic steroids with GW501516? Do you know what that is? Is that a
So,
SARM?
so peptides and SARMs, I have to default to all those right now. I mean, I may not even do videos. I may do videos on these. Ron,
Well, because just to finish this question, he says GW for short will increase the HDL and lower LDL, counteracting the one drawback you stated with Proviron. So,
well, so I have to defer. This stuff I can't really answer because, I mean, we know in theory it does kind of stabilize and provide anti-estrogenic effects and kind of augments the androgen that you have on board. For how long does it work? It's not going to work forever, and it's softer, and no one uses it alone because of that inhibition effect and that enzyme in the skeletal muscle. It's really not anabolic, so no one uses it alone. And I'd love to hear from real professional users they're not kids, that are older, and they've used it for many, many years, even decades. I would love to interview someone who really knows that stuff because, and it's just anecdotal. Would assume they're not going to have lab studies. They're not going to have LDL numbers. It would be really cool if they did. Calcium scores, echocardiograms, EKGs and all this stuff. But in the end, using these peptides and these SARMs is just such Wild West. Guys use it. I see it every single day. They really think that it's going to be safer. And again, if you look at just the basic ones that have been out there for years and then the new ones, if you look at the study, my colleague there in Harvard, right, the guy he bought like 50 of them, and for his study, his first study was, he's got other studies coming, is he just want to see, when you buy 50 SARMs, peptides off the internet, what do you get? And his first study showed that like half the time it's not a SARM.
There was more, wasn't it? Like 70% or something?
Right. Correct me if I'm.
It was depressing. Whatever it was.
So that's in the New York Times. That's in like the endocrine journals, like JAMA, and this is a real guy. So that was stage one. So when you're getting SARMs, you're actually, if this study has any relevance in the real world, which I think it does, he just randomly bought off the internet SARMs. Right. Rad 140. He did he did the top 10 big SARMs, peptides. He went to the peptide companies. I mean, it's really amazing, and he discovered that. So if it's proportional to what's happening in real life, you're taking nothing to Anavar to Dianabol. You're just So again, how can I possibly answer? It's a non-science. Anyone who answers a question trying to be a scientist needs to be just shut down, because they're just selling you a bunch of garbage because they know no, you don't know, you're an idiot. I'm never going to lose this inflammatory edge. You're an idiot. You're selling garbage. You're hurting people, and that's just this. We know a lot. Let's talk about old steroids because we know about this stuff.
Right.
SARMs? No. Okay, and I'm not defending whatever patent protection is going to come on these things. Sooner or later, they're going to work. 50 years from now, we're going to have SARMs. I don't know about 10 years from now, and then we're going to know, Ron.
My goodness.
I don't know, but they're not. They're not ready for prime time. But people are saying, too bad. I don't have to wait that time. I'm going to use them, and it's obviously, if you look at the anecdotal information on the internet and people coming in, they work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But then again, they do have effects on your brain, on your heart, in the end, I've had enough guys come in. We have some round tables going on, and they're like, I just use some test and some Anavar and just don't do much. Why would I buy something off the internet that I don't know? And I don't know. Ron,
it goes back to like why pro-hormones were so popular. It's because there's a lot of people who, for moral reasons, legal reasons, ethical, whatever, they will not do steroids, but they have no problem buying up, tons of SARMs and using those, or back in the day it'd be pro-hormones, because they're not on steroids, and they can still, a lot of these people say that, well, I'm drugged, I'm natural, I don't use steroids, and
And we have it going on right now. No celebrities mentioned. It's happening right now. MMA. It's always WW. It's all, and yeah, they get caught. They pay themselves out of it. They get therapeutic use exemptions. They have Wizinators. You know, the artificial penis. I mean, they're not. I mean, this Ron. The world is what it is. It's full of shit. And it's just. Am I right or wrong? I mean, it could be horrible. People are mean. For the most part, I heard some horrible stories today from my patients, what other people do to people. It's a horrible little world we have out there. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, a couple more questions.
Sorry, Ron.
That's okay. I'm trying to have a bright outlook. I want to think the world's a good place. Does Proviron work well for PCT therapy or low testosterone in middle-aged men, 45 years and older?
That's a great question, and that's the question. Like, is it good for for TRT? And the question is, I don't think it is, because guys have told me that it doesn't last, and that's why it never made it in the real world. And then during that time period, you could see the studies. Testosterone was developed, and then within, I don't know what it was, the suspension and the esters came. Within about 10 years, right, 15 years, and then they were widely used because the esters of testosterone are phenomenal at providing men of wellness and feeling great. So this doesn't work for.
This doesn't even make sense to me, because assuming this is, I don't know if he's in the U.S. or not, but you can't get prescription Proviron anywhere in the U.S. It's not available. You can go get TRT. You can get prescribed. If you're an older guy, you have low testosterone, you can get your Cypionate or an Anthate or whatever prescribed to you. Why would you even be entertaining the idea of, no, forget that. I want to use Proviron instead.
Well, people are fun. People are interesting. They get bored. They also want to have the best. They want to be in the cutting edge. Well, this is something from the 1930s, so it's not cutting edge. It didn't work. It didn't work in the real world. You know, steroids are in the real world because they work.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we're still using drugs from 50 plus years ago, because one reason only, we ain't got nothing better. The SARMs, I'm not proof. I'm waiting. My jury's out. One day they'll work well, and we're not there yet. Someone's going to refine that.
Do you know which big pharma companies are working on it? Any idea?
No, I do know, and I definitely am not going to. I just can't. I got to hold
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine, but it's in the works with
somebody
who's got that.
It's in the works.
Okay.
I have no financial conflicts right now, and I just will say that from my own morality, I just don't. But it's in the works.
Yeah, I mean, if a company like Pfizer or somebody's going to spend, $10 billion to bring this to market, it's going to be a very effective product when it comes out.
They're not giving up on SARMs, my friend. And it is true that's in part why Orrin Hatch, senator from, oh boy, where's he from?
Somewhere in the South, I think. I don't
know. No, Midwest, where they make all the supplements. They're just blanking out.
Iowa?
The Mormon guys are out there. Where's
Utah?
I'm sorry.
Utah. He's Utah.
Look at me. Look at my brain. All I do is work.
You remembered Mormons.
I do remember. I love the Mormon guys. I went to med school with a bunch of these guys. Are great guys. Huh? So the truth is this: about a year ago or so, remember we talked about this. Orrin Hatch came out with a bill where he's going to make SARMs illegal.
Right.
Now, who's Orrin Hatch? Who is he in bed with? I mean, I love this. It's great. I mean, and then people blew the whistle on him. They're saying, like, wait a minute now, like, Orrin Hatch, are you really this clean-cut guy that you really care so much about people? Or you're the guy that, like, protects supplement companies? I'm just saying, Ron, little drama here. So it's pretty clear that there's a movement out there to kind of sequester some SARM formulas that they want to work on. That's okay. It's America, though. I'm a capitalistic guy, so that's going to be, hopefully it's going to be good for people.
Free enterprise.
It's just free enterprise. I mean, I like Pfizer. In the end, we can't have the government making drugs. That's called Cuba. I love Cuba.
Have you been to Cuba?
Cuba actually has an amazing social system for medicine.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that, but you can't just have. You need free enterprise, and you need to have it relate and to work with the government, hopefully well. But it costs so much money to bring this to market, no one's ever going to do it unless there's the good old-fashioned buck in there.
Sure.
So there's 2 or 3 right now, 2 or 3 formulations that are looked at for they're trying to own and patent protect it. I mean, you could look it up. I mean, people could internet Google search this stuff.
And if it costs, what's an average cost to bring a major pharmaceutical drug to market? $3 billion is a couple $1 billion.
100 million, more, million? Maybe $1 billion. Correct.
Maybe. Let's say it's $1 billion. So I mean, from a business point of view, they probably need to make back at least $50 billion to recoup and have a good profit for all their shareholders.
Pfizer, how much money do they make on Viagra?
A lot.
I think it's unethical that they held that patent out, and it's still in this day, in some places in this country, it's generic, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's still $30 a pill.
I've heard $80.
That's for the brand name.
Oh, jeez.
It's unethical and pathetic.
$80 for one boner? Come on.
Ron, we're men. Yeah. We have been taken to the cleaners. Ooh. Women would never, ever, ever. They would picket. They would shut the government down. We are men. $80 a pill for one reason only, because the market would bear it to poor, pathetic men that keep their mouths shut and just want to have an erection. Yeah. That to me is unethical, and that is so and our government did that with the industry because you know why? Because they could. And now then the generic is still $30 a pill.
Well,
but you know,
you can get it from like Canadian pharmacies online
for $3 a pill,
$3
of course.
to $4, $5.
But then you don't know the quality, Ron. Then it's a quality issue.
Right.
I mean, you're gambling, and I use some wholesale pharmacies and compounding pharmacies in America. Of course, I do. Yeah. It's for the patient's best interest,
I can tell you, somebody had me order them. It wasn't for me. I wish it was. Somebody had me order them some generic Cialis from Canada, and they reported back to me later they didn't have a credit card or something. It was something stupid. It was a relative, but they said these are weak. These were not any. They were supposed to be X amount of 40 milligrams, whatever milligrams they were supposed to be. He was used to taking the brand name Cialis. He said no, it's not. It's about half strength what it's supposed to be.
So I agree with that. So I think, yep, it can be about half to 75% the potency.
Yeah. Well,
but you know what, though? But you pay $3 a pill versus $80 a pill.
Take 2 pills.
No, Ron, it's pretty...
I mean, if it's $4 a pill versus $30, you're still making out.
But isn't it nuts, though, that men have no representation, that no one would do that? They ran that patent over, so they should have had that patent expire, and they should have had generics coming to compete. That should have happened 10 years ago, and it's still going on today. It is what it is.
Okay, well, last question, doctor. Since Proviron is an anti-AI, now I'm the one drawing a blank. What does AI stand for again?
Aromatase inhibitor.
Aromatase inhibitor.
But it's not, though. We don't know that that's true, though.
I do know what this means, people. I just had a brain malfunction. Would that effect still be active when used either singularly or stacked? What I mean is, if you use Proviron by itself, would it have an AI effect on the body's natural aromatization?
That's a great question, and it seems like when I looked into that, half the people, this is just guys guessing, that they think it has some aromatase, some inherent, aromatase inhibition effects, and the other guys just say no, it's working on the higher up level on the central nervous system. And then so wow, that's a phenomenal question, but I'll bet you it's not aromatase inhibitor effect. I think it's working up centrally on the system, because I think how it's working on the central nervous system, because we know when guys take steroids, they come off, they get all this super conversion of estrogen and all this. I saw a guy today. He's been off for, I don't know, like over a year, and his worst complaint was, except for feeling like crap and having no sex drive, was continued gynecomastia sensation.
Jeez, a year later.
A year later. So it's because the brain, and you'll see on the estrogen levels, estradiol levels, if you check it, and really check the accurate mass spectroscopy directly measured, not just total estrogen, because it could be contaminated, that you'll see it's either up or it's just flattened out and it's not up, but he still feels that way. So, and then if you want to lower that, give testosterone. It lowers gynecomastia. I discovered this stuff with other guys, so that's like, his levels he'll feel better because you're giving the central nervous system what it wants. I'm not kidding. What it needs from the direct effect. Then you have the sequence effect from the central nervous system downward, outward, if you will. And of course, the testicles are going to be shut off, but it's above the testicles. It's all up in the periphery, in the conversion in your blood vessels, of course, your liver, your fat, and in the central nervous system. It's just crazy. And Proviron that's why when I was trying to research how does it cause increase in fertility? Here's what, my statement was like, it's multifactorial. If you give an infertile guy a dose of cypionate, he'll be fertile for a short period because the free testosterone goes into the testicles and the intratesticular level of testosterone goes up. And during that short period, those Leydig and Soratelli cells, I learned, this is urology, fertility, they increase production because you gave testosterone to them from the outside source.
Right.
And then after a while, and this is common, everyone knows this, the poor man's fertility back in the 60s and 70s, just give him a cc or 3 cc's of sip in his butt and send him home.
Has that been discontinued? People stopped doing that?
Yeah, probably. Well, now what do we have? We have semen analyses, we have urology doctors, and we have Clomid, HCG, and we have FSH and LH analogs called Brevell and Overdrill, and we have fertility guys. So we don't need to do it anymore, but it does work. So it's possible that Proviron's initial effect on increasing fertility or maintaining fertility is nothing more than just an androgen that goes into the system and stimulates into the testicles, and it stimulates the regulation and processing of increase in semen count.
Interesting.
So I don't know if anyone could follow that. I can't even really follow that, but
I kind of followed it. A lot of sometimes I nod and it's going over my head, but I'm just like,
it's either working. It's probably working in the central nervous system, but again, none of this stuff lasts because the body is always trying to regulate and always trying to maintain that homeostasis. So it just gets used to it and it just downregulates. And it was great in the beginning, just like steroid users, Ron.
Yeah.
That's why they have to cycle, right? You can get tolerant. So, guys, they use steroids. The steroid users in the streets, that's a real study. And everything, and the bottom line is that experiment is 100% whatever works, we use.
Yeah.
Look at the bodies. And they've learned all these permutations, and that's why I'm tapping into it, because it's an incredible resource. And it's like those are the bodies that are produced. And forget the drugs. Obviously, there's greater extent, more or less, that everyone's using some kind of drugs. But when you tell the drug use to doctors, their mouth goes like, what? How? What? Insulin, drugs, steroids, SARMs, peptides, diuretics, clenbuterol, blah, 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 thyroid medicine. What?
They can't believe these guys are still walking around.
Well, they can't believe they actually coordinate all this. And where do they get it from?
It's not easy.
Ron, I don't want to say one thing. I'm amazed. Someone said to me today, I got an email from some guy, one of my broologists. He goes, Doc, you know what's amazing? It's a beautiful thing to see that no one's gotten really hurt in a long time.
Not true.
Wow.
People are always getting hurt.
I mean death. Like I guess no one's died, and he's meaning like no one's died publicly. Now I see the stuff all the time.
Yeah.
In my office with heart failure. So again, I don't want to push back and say like I'm not seeing where the bodies are, but they're walking in. But he said it's amazing since you had Dallas and then McCarver. I guess guys do die.
Yeah. Piana, and they died like a week apart.
So Piana, then McCarver.
Yeah.
And then, we thought, here we go, folks. And now, again, guys are dying, but they're just guys that are not publicly really that famous.
Right. Oh, yeah. For every Dallas McCarver that the world knew about, there's who knows how many, 500 other guys who never got any fame or won any titles, or nobody knows who they were except for the guys at their gym and their family and friends. So when they die, it's not maybe.
But that big wrestler, Silver, I met him. What's his name? Silver, the big famous wrestler from Mexico.
Oh, the one that was he was in Nacho Libre. He played Ramses.
Ron, I met him in Mexico. Great guy, crazy guy.
Was a heart attack?
He had a heart attack. It
50,
seems like
52. Yeah.
50. It's sad. That's a guy that died, but it's amazing what the guy meant today. The email meant today was, Doc, none of the top 20 monsters like that are using, I don't want to say the names, you know the names.
Yeah.
They're walking around and they're doing like some may do the New York Pro, and some they're getting ready for Mr. Olympia in the fall, and like it's incredible. Like how come they're not dropping dead like flies? And my answer to that is, how can I mean, no, we don't. We've no, sooner or later they're going to get hurt potentially, and there's so much variability. Some of these men most of these men are so healthy. They're so healthy that they're so young that their bodies are able to tolerate it. There's nothing more to say. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But there's a point where they're going to come into me and they're going to have, some heart disease, kidney disease. Again, I'm not saying it's light. I'm saying, but that's what they're going to have after 20 or 30 years of running a lot of gear. Is it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call. I mean, the money in the sport is nothing special. The fame is nothing special compared to other sports. But, if this is your calling in life, this is what your gift is, that you could have that look and, make a career out of it somehow.
And we always come back to that we respect the men I'm trying to provide the education to young men to please don't do it. And here's what may happen if you do it, despite your education and your research. And I'm not making fun.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make a real, a study of this thing so we understand it. But we respect that people, they want to do it. That's their calling. That brings them very good wellness. They feel very good. It saves their life. It saves their life. Some of these men will say it's bodybuilding, obviously with the drugs, without the drugs, has saved their life. They have a calling and they became better people. I mean, Ron, that's true.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's why muscular development is there, and it's very positive, and we're always trying to balance to complete, but nothing in life is fully positive, and there's always a yin yang. So these guys are trying to understand, but they're doing it because they love it and they feel great, and they're doing it for all positive reasons, right? I mean, that's why they're doing it, and to push. And it is. There's nothing greater high than pushing the body to those levels of performance. And any top athlete is never healthy.
No,
never. Marathon runners are not healthy. Don't tell me they are, because they're not. I'm not saying a marathon runner is going to have the same end out danger to a top Olympia bodybuilder, a powerlifter, a strongman. I'm saying that you're doing extreme.
Just look at something like NBA. These guys, they're not steroid monsters, but I think every retired NBA guy has problems with at least one of the following: hips, ankles, knees, spine, from all that trauma of the jumping and running. There's no. I don't think there's any elite athletes that don't pay a physical price later on. Unfortunately, with bodybuilding, because the drug use is such a heavy factor in it, a lot of the damage done is internal. It's not just their joints and connective tissues. And unfortunately, heart, kidneys, liver, but especially the heart. A lot of these guys are going to have major, heart disease and calcification and blockage and things like that, which, like you said, as men, a lot of us are going to have that anyway, but this is certainly not helping the matter.
They're accelerating. We see that it's accelerated. Instead of having it later, to whatever extent, they just bring. I had a guy that came in, 37, and he has massive heart failure right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's just bad genetics.
Damn,
10 years of gear, and he didn't even do as much as just bad. Doc, why me? Bad genetics, bad timing. I mean, he did 10 years of gear, and he went into massive heart failure. Now we're hoping to heal his heart with cardiology guys, and hopefully it will stabilize. I think it will. I think he'll actually maybe even get it to go better, and he's not doing steroids anymore. He'll be on testosterone a little bit, is forever, and he's going to be. But that's an amazing case, man. And this guy's listening right now. Thank you so much for trusting me with your life, sir, and your medical case, because what incredible story, and he has significant heart failure right now, and he's feeling horrible. He's short of breath, and he can't even walk very much without sucking wind. And now we're working on, I diagnosed it with an echo and some other studies, and now we're going to move to the cardiology guy I know called him today, and they're going to see him, and then we're going to work. I'm going to make sure that the cardiology doctor works with him to my liking, because there's going to be some parts of the medical care that they're not going to. The cardiology doctor, or this one's particularly, he's my go-to guy, and he's smart, he's decent, and he respects these men. He's not going to disparage him, but there also is going to be some part of just waiting, because I think a year from now, that his heart just naturally will get better anyway.
Oh, good.
But he can't take any more steroids.
Well, there's our alarm right there.
That's the poodles.
All right, thank you, doctor, for another great show. I learned a lot about Proviron. If you want to see the doctor's video on Proviron, which is much better annotated, thorough, go to Anabolic Doc channel on YouTube. It was, I believe it's the newest video. Have you done another one since then?
Yeah, well, I think growth hormone, HDL.
I'm waiting. Of course, we got to go over growth next time.
Oh, Ron, you have to go over. I interviewed the pro bodybuilder.
Really?
Did you please check?
Was that in the growth hormone video?
No, the most recent video was my interview of a pro bodybuilder.
Oh boy!
Please see that, and we'll see. And then the one before was growth.
Is he in shadow with like the voice changer?
No.
Oh shit! I got to see this.
Yeah, you will just let me know what you think. Give me a text.
Boy, oh wow, now I'm excited. Okay, so everybody go to the doctor's websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com. Get his book, America on Steroids, A Time to Heal, at either of those or Amazon.com. And of course, just like I'm going to do pretty soon, go to his YouTube channel, Anabolic Doc. He's got a lot of great content on there, guys. Check it out. Doctor, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise, trying to help us men of the world out, especially us gear users and former gear users out there. Doing God's work, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron.
And everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.